Hi, happy November. I wanted to pop on here and chat about what's been up lately and also share a little bit of a book haul for some books that I've been diving into recently. I have been very grateful to have just a medley of just ideas and inspiration lately on my mind for topics and potential areas that I want to explore both on this channel and other platforms and in other projects. I also have a few kind of slower burn, longer term projects on my mind that I'm exploring. Things that are involving kind of getting off my phone. So I think I initially showed up on this channel with a bit more frequency. So you may see me a little less, I'm not sure yet, but again, going back to one of my first videos here, this is about play, this is about honoring a dabble, this is about seeing what feels good and what works. So we're continuing with that, we're rocking and rolling, and I'm applying that in the other areas of my life as well, and more and more I'm feeling drawn to build outside of this tiny screen. And I think it's important that I am also not feeling caught up in any sort of perfectionism when it comes to showing up here. So I want to still be documenting my journey and staying true to my initial objectives with this channel. So hi, I've had a busy last week and a half or so since I last posted. But yeah, I wanted to share a couple books that I've recently started diving into and just kind of thinking through how my philosophy has changed a little bit on reading. I used to be a very linear person and have thought of reading as like, I need to start at the beginning and read a book all the way through before I can start a different one. But lately, with reading and other things in life, I'm allowing myself a lot more freedom and flexibility to jump in, jump out. It's okay to start something, even if you haven't finished something else. And so that has provided me a lot more joy and a lot more learning. And it's just been a really interesting and beautiful process of kind of like unlocking these little handcuffs that I didn't realize were on me, that were kind of the handcuffs of perfectionism that I had placed on myself for some reason. I don't really entirely know where they came from, but so anyways, I want to just kind of share briefly. One book that I've chatted about previously in a different video is this book. It's called Secret Voices, A Year of Women's Diaries. This has been gorgeous. This has been amazing. I'm a little bit through it. I think I'm in February, late February or March. Yeah, February 27th. It's really cool. It goes just day by day throughout the year and highlights just like excerpts from different women's diaries from across the world, and just really insightful and gives you just little pockets of women's lives throughout history and how they were experiencing, personal aspects of their experiences as well as historical events. So this has been a lovely read. I really enjoyed that, and I found that at a secondhand store when I was in Dublin. I found like my favorite things to shop for at secondhand stores have been books. It seems as though like just a quick glance, a certain book will just kind of call to me, and I don't know, it's just been a lovely way to find books. And then the postcards, which I've spoken about in a different video, just like as a really cool way to find art, just like a low-key way of finding different forms of art and arranging the postcards. I've really enjoyed that. And I actually have a really interesting and exciting idea relative to postcards and a potential art project that I'm considering. So more on that to come. This next book is called The Signs, and this is by Dr. Tara Swart. I just started this evening, so I'm not like too far, but it's quite good. And it's just, in short, the science of how to trust your instincts. Really, really good. So just a few additional summary points. It's kind of about how to tap into your most important decision-making tool, your intuition, how to break free from the distractions and stress of modern life and focus on what matters most, and how to shift your mindset from fixed thinking to openness and wonder so you can see life's limitless possibilities. Really, really enjoying this. I happened upon a couple of her videos online a couple weeks, months ago. Just fascinating and profound. She had a couple of really just surreal experiences after her late husband passed away, and how she encountered him, like his spirit, and just implications on like neuroscience and the seen and the unseen and kind of all of that. So enjoying this so far. This next one, I have not cracked it open yet. Actually, that's a lie. I did take a peek-see at like one page, and I read like just a brief page, but I really have not given this like enough of a like first go. I'm excited to though. This is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer, and it's about indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and the teachings of plants. And so really looking forward to diving into this. I've heard just rave reviews, and really stoked for this one, and we'll certainly be sharing more insights and takeaways as I dive deeper there. This next one was recommended to me by a friend, and this has been like a huge part of my creative process and journey over the last couple months, and I don't know if I've chatted about it on this channel yet, but this is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's very well known, very popular, so you may have heard of it, but it's about like a spiritual path to higher creativity, and just like the notion, and I think I did perhaps talk about it, maybe, but the notion is essentially like we're all creative, like we can all tap into our creativity, and we can all be artistic in different ways, but often it can be like stifled or blocked just based on the different life paths that we fall into and societal conditioning and structuring. But it recommends, or rather it follows doing two basic practices. One is daily pages. That is doing 3 pages in the morning, just kind of like stream of consciousness type vibe. Just like downloading like, this is what I need to get for groceries. This is like on my mind. I had this conflict come up. This is what I had a dream about last night. This is what I'm planning for work this week, X, Y, and Z, like whatever it is, just kind of like getting that out of our system. That way we're more free to move and create during the day. And even me being a very like avid journaler, just getting into this practice of doing these morning pages has been very freeing and has changed my relationship with my writing and has allowed me to write in different ways. I've really enjoyed it. And the other practice is doing weekly artist dates. So taking yourself on a date every week and exposing yourself to something new and creative, and it's a lovely practice. And so I'm not too far in. I think it's like a 12-week process. This next one is called We by Yevgeny Zamyatin, and this is actually the book that 1984 is based upon. And so it's about the United States and kind of a dystopian society. in which all the people, no one has names, everyone has numbers. And it's kind of crazy because the main character, their name or their number is D/503, which my like unit number is 503. So like when I first was reading that on the summary before I bought this book, I was like, I truly am like living in a matrix. And it's been really good. I'm not like too far in, only at page 26, but it's not super large. It's not a super long book, but it's pretty good so far. And just kind of causes you to think critically about the government's role in our lives and our role in our lives. Good read in these times. Second to last one is this book. So this is a Ram Dass book, and this is my first Ram Dass book. It is called Be Here Now, and it is just like incredible. It is just illustrated like really, really interestingly. You can kind of get lost in there. And yeah, I like, the more and more I learn about Ram Dass's life and the information he's put out there, like the more and more I learn and the more intrigued I am. The quote, the phrase, "Be here now," actually came to me during a yoga class that I was taking in Zurich during my trip. We were asked to set like a mantra for the practice, and that came to me, and I knew, I was like, this surely is not an original thought. Like I know this came from somewhere, but I didn't know where. I didn't necessarily know that it was a Ram Dass saying or quote. And so then when I was in Amsterdam, I knew that I'd wanted to get a tattoo during my trip. And so I was just doing some research on what I might want to get. And so that came back to mind. And I looked into it and I was like, oh shoot, like that's actually like a Ram Dass quote. And there was another quote that had always really resonated with me that I also hadn't realized he had said, which is something along the lines of, we're all just walking each other home. And I was like, this is gorgeous, amazing, fated. And the more and more that I looked into his life and history, I was blown away and just fully felt drawn to kind of the meaning behind that, and yeah, the significance there. So when I was in Amsterdam, I got my second tattoo, which says "Be Here Now." And so that is the title of that book. And so I've been going through that, and it's quite good. But it's just, yeah, on his kind of spiritual awakening and practice, and how, like, he initially, if you're not familiar, had a pretty successful academic career. And I believe he had just recently started at Harvard when he decided to move to India and continue like his spiritual practice. And yeah, so yeah, I'm not too far in, but learning and enjoying that. And the last one before I wrap up is a book that I found at a secondhand store last weekend. I went on a hiking trip. I was able to meet up with my aunt for the first night. She was already going with a group for a hike. So I was able to go and stay with her where she was staying that first night, and then hike. And then I kind of did my own thing for the second day, and I figured I already had like my cat situated and my bags packed, and I had driven out of the city. And so I just felt drawn to kind of turn my phone off and spend some time reflecting. I had a conversation the week, or really the day prior, with a good friend of mine named Sunil. He is a career coach, and we had a conversation back in June, shortly after I got laid off. And he's just, yeah, such a gift and very helpful. And in the conversation we had Friday, I'd mentioned to him, you know, I'm so excited about like all these different potential directions that I'm considering. And I know that I have a path and I have really great ideas and intentions and all these things, right? Um, trauma fractures memory, and the things that I went through 3 years ago with my marriage ending and a really traumatic situation that went on in my workplace, and childhood sexual abuse case closing, like all three of these things happening at the same time. And then with how my marriage ended and my ex actually, my cats are losing their mind with Sumis. Just with how things played out, I ended up, displaced from my home and staying with friends and family and in different places for a couple months. And so, yeah. And I was also hospitalized during the time as well, for kind of a mental health episode. And that's a whole separate story, whole separate situation. But with all that said, like, it all kind of got fractured and a little bit mixed up. And so I've journaled consistently for the last 3 years prior to everything kind of falling apart. But my journals are very chaotic. They're a little all over the place. I have, 15, 20. And so what I told Sunil was, I think I have all the right answers. I think if I could just be alone in a cabin for a week with my journals, like, I think I would have my plan for what I want to do. And he was very, very kind and very in tune, was just like, Jordan, what would stop you from just turning your phone off for 2 days? And I was like, like, that's literally genius. Like, you were literally so good at this. And he was like, Jordan, like, that was literally like your idea. Like, you literally just said that. And I was like, okay, but like, not like that. So anyways, the second night, like, in kind of the country of Illinois, or just outside of the city last weekend, was my first kind of stab at like, okay, I'm taking time away, I'm integrating. And on my drive outside of the city, getting away for that trip, what came to mind for me was this notion of, okay, like, if my life was a garden bed, I think I have a lot of beautiful seeds planted, many, like, gorgeous seeds. And for a number of reasons, they haven't been tended to in several years. I've been in survival mode, and I've been in reconstruction mode. I moved to Illinois. First I moved to the suburbs and stayed at my aunt's place, and then I moved into a place in the suburbs. And then a couple months later, I was like, I want to be in the city. So I moved into the city. So I moved 3 separate times, not counting all the times I had moved during just the upheaval of the separation after being locked out of my home. But yeah, there was a lot of work involved in simply finding safety environmentally. There was also the work involved in getting reacclimated to a new working situation, a new job, and was so grateful and so blessed to have this new job, and it's what brought me to Illinois. And but yeah, I got this new job and I was around family here, like, all really lovely things, but I was focused on all that. So yeah, I have this garden. It's got beautiful seeds, such beautiful seeds, but like, they haven't been fully tended to, and they haven't been really watered or pruned or checked in on. And so I think now the work that I'm doing is that work. Like, I'm tending to the garden, and I'm getting things in order, and I'm going back through, and I'm putting my memories back together. I'm putting my story back together, like, for myself, first and foremost. And and then from there figuring out, you know, what could this be, and like could any of this be a resource to help others, and if so, in what form or fashion. So I'm being very intentional in that regard. But yeah, so anyways, back to the final book. So I went to this beautiful community secondhand store in Leland, Illinois, and I met the owner, Leslie, and she was a gift, such a gem. We connected on this just soul level. It was remarkable. Like, I can't quite explain it, but we really, really connected, and was grateful and able to hear a bit of her story around starting her store. It was a gorgeous vibe, so intentional and just amazing. So I found this book. It kind of called to me from the shelf, as they sometimes do. And what I wanted to share, when I opened it up that next day, at a cafe that I found on my drive home, it's literally the first paragraph. I'll read it to you. Becoming kinder and more compassionate is a process and not something that will happen overnight. In much the same way, we might cultivate a garden by planting seeds, tending them as they germinate and grow, creating space by removing weeds, and nourishing growing root shoots with water, sunlight, and other essentials. It is about the long game. There are times when our garden may be a bit neglected, or when it feels as if nothing is happening. But as long as we don't give up and continue to give it attention, some of the seeds we have planted will flourish. The practices in this book require the same attitude, but instead we are cultivating intention and learning to be more kindful in our thoughts and behavior. Like, are you so for real right now? Like, yeah. So that's literally all I have. I've enjoyed this so far. I'm a little bit of the way through, but yeah, it's a garden, and I think, like many things, our stuff from the past, like, they don't really go away. And for myself, at least, I'm learning, like, the more that I can welcome and integrate my experiences with kindness and curiosity, the more, like, they give to me. And even if it's from years ago, like, the more that I can tend to them and pay attention to them to see, like, what they might be trying to teach me, they're still valid. They still happened. They may still be affecting me and my worldview and how I approach, I don't know, friendships, men, work, just life, how I view my body, how I view food, how I view any which thing, right? Our experiences shape us in the way that we view the world. So doesn't it make sense to be thoughtful about those experiences and revisit them? It's just kind of what's on my heart and mind. So I wanted to share. I hope we all have an amazing start to the week, and do a little something to tend to your garden, whether it's your past, your present, your future blooms. I just hope you do something that feels good.